I don't want to see the mask that you're wearing. I don't care about your font. I want to know what's under the mask. And that's kind of part of the whole point, you know what I mean? So it's not about judgment or about like caring about your secrets and all the things that you hide. Whatever you feel sacred is to you is like whatever you feel sacred to you. It has nothing to do with what you're choosing to mask and what you're not choosing to mask. Everyone's masking at some point in their lives. And we're going to go deeper into this, but it's about awareness. And it's about the consciousness of knowing when you're going through it or recognizing after you've passed a moment where that was what you were going through. So you can kind of work through that so you don't end up in that same situation again the next time. Or the next time that you're in that situation, it's not the same cycle, but it's a new situation with new lessons and new things that can be learned. And so I want to start off with acknowledging that to fully understand masking, you have to kind of be really good with observing people. Like, and not labeling them, just kind of observing them. Labels create limits that we don't necessarily need. You know what I mean? Sorry, felt like my bear was a little undressed there. I moved these back so I could like sit in the wall, and then I didn't sit in the wall. So I personally started noticing things like this, and like just noticing patterns in people through literal like everyday situations and places that I go. So like when I go to the grocery store, when I go to parties, when I go to work, when I go to social settings, literally just like every day, every time I go out in public, when I see people in social settings, I always notice that it's like everyone goes through one of these three like phases or stages of life. And it's not like a fixed thing. Like it's not like a scientifically proven like fixed situation here. It is just a thing that I've noticed, and it is quite often that I do notice this. Um, but people move between these stages, and it's a moment by moment thing. It kind of just depends on where that person's brainwaves are kind of functioning at. So like putting out what you receive. So whatever that person's putting out, whatever they're masking, whatever it is, could change as their thought, like as they're forming a thought as they're walking out a door. So it's like a moment by moment thing, and you really have to be able to pay attention to people to notice things like this in life. And like, you don't have to, but like, you could. You could if you wanted to. And so the first type of masking is what we're going to call masking to escape reality, or them people like or trying to escape themselves. Masking to escape, period. So this first group, they are the ones who are masking. These are the ones who are masking, and they don't enjoy the way that they feel on a base level about themselves or about the world around them. And I feel like it's very important to point out that there's two different types of people in this first category. The people who are masking to escape themselves have inner growth that they need to work through to be able to come to the point that they are no longer masking to escape, if that's something that they want. I know I personally I'm asked to escape a lot just because I find that it's easier to function that way sometimes. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's just something that I need to do sometimes for my own strength. And it's a survival thing, and I'm still like recognizing when I do it and trying to break it, but I'm the first type of person. This is me. But I mask to escape reality. I project a form of myself that isn't as brutal as my most authentic self, so I'm easier to digest for the mass people. Because I have, like, growing up and just as I've lived my life, I've noticed that a lot of the times I can be intense. I'm not intense, but I can be intense for people who aren't able to understand the type of person that I am. It's like I've never been introduced in their world, so why would I be something that's familiar? And because I'm not familiar, I make them uncomfortable, which is fine. So I do this thing where I mask to escape reality. Now, sometimes the way that I mask isn't healthy, and like I said, I'm taking a moment, I'm stepping back, and I'm recognizing it, and I'm doing what I can to adjust it. Everyone goes at their own pace, guys. Like, know that in this moment, when I'm speaking to you and when I'm telling you these things, I am not perfect, and that's not the intention of what I'm trying to get you to. But a lot of the times, people start to mask to escape because they feel uncomfortable or discomfort in their own body or in social settings. It's instead of it being like a oh like I just want everybody to like me, it's like a huh, this is just weird. It's not like it's heavy, but it's not as drastic as a thought as a lot of people would assume when people like think discomfort. It's more of just like a what's going on? Like, this is weird. Like, does nobody else see what's going on here is weird? And because these are the thoughts that are going on in a person's head, my head, your head, the two ways that you can split off into are, man, everybody else here is weird and I don't think I want to be here anymore. Or, oh wow, if I'm uncomfortable, I'm the problem. Why don't I want to be here? Ooh, why is no one talking to me? I'm the problem. I don't want to be here. And both sides of that can be very consuming because it's a restlessness, or it's a constant look it's a constant search for comfort or the next stimulus. And so it's unfortunately kind of something that leads to like minor identity hopping and just being lost and testing like these little like theories in your head. You're like, okay, well, maybe if I try this, then this will happen. Like trying things to get the solution that you want until you get the solution that you want. But it's literally kind of just trying out all these different experiences until you find where you are your most authentic self at. And some people can see it as identity hopping, which does sound a bit odd, but it just means that you're at like a rapid pace of growth. So you're just constantly changing, and because you're constantly changing, someone could meet you this week and think one thing of you, and then meet you the next week and think, oh, like this isn't even the same person I met last week. What the hell? And now you're being treated differently because you are just growing at rapid levels that people can't understand. So now you have to sit here and be like, okay, I guess, yeah, no, I guess I did change, but like not in a bad way. But I guess if you don't like me anymore, that's fine. It's an awkward situation to be in, but it's part of what'll bring you to your most authentic self. And to make it a bit easier for a lot of us, what we do is we put on the mask of someone who we feel better as. We put on like a mask of just where we feel comfortable or confident or whatever mood that we're in. It's not just like a positive negative thing. It's this is where I need to be. This is the mindset I need to be. This is the form I need to be in right now. So this is what I'm going to be. I will deal with whatever I have to deal with later. I'm going to escape all of that and deal with this here in this moment. And this is how I'm going to be for it. And if someone thinks that I'm changed because I'm not the same person that they met this time, well, that's because I'm not going through the same thing I was going through last week. So I'm not going to be reacting and living my life the same way that I was. Nobody's perfect, nobody's consistent. And I just want to emphasize how this isn't wrong, and it's a coping mechanism, and it's something that comes from a survival mindset. It's something that you get from knowing that you don't have the outlets to be your most authentic self. So what you have to do is mask, but you don't have to mask out of fear, and you don't have to like completely make everybody uncomfortable all the time so they never like you, but you can mask to escape and to enjoy. But it can also become a trap. So you have to be aware of how far down you're letting yourself go into these mindsets and these feelings, because at one point it can consume you. And so that's when you need to start recognizing your strength again so that way you don't let it. Okay, and so the second type of person is going to be the type of person that it's masking out of fear. So I feel like this is kind of like the most heartbreaking category in this, just because I feel like anything that's fear based is kind of just like, wow, something that a lot of people choose to conquer every day. You're choosing not to conquer right now because you're scared. And I get that because we've all been scared before, but like, man, that breaks my heart for you because I wish you weren't scared. I wish I wasn't scared, you know? But these are the ones who are masking out of the fear because they don't believe that anyone could be comfortable or would like them without the mask, or they don't know how to mask to escape. So it's just a constant anxiety and fear of rejection and fear of being too much, and just kind of like a learned self isolation. And I will point out here that masking to escape can seem like isolation to some people. However, the right people would be able to notice this in your life, and those people are going to be the ones that at one point you'll never have to mask to escape around again. And other people, you'll just have to do that for the rest of your life. But this mask is it's just heavier. It holds so much more emotion to it. Where the other one's kind of like, well, you just gotta forge on, keep going. This one is so much more like connected to people's feelings. And it's for the most part worn constantly until they're able to become like aware of what they need to do to not be scared and just be ready to face their fears. And it rarely comes off, which like, and I when I say rarely, I mean even in safe places does this mask not come off because of how scared this person is to not be accepted. And this is a phase that I do slip into on a consistent basis. It's never the same, but I always end up in this area. And when I do, I'm always able to notice it. However, I'm never able to get myself out of this, no matter how much I want to not be in it, until I'm physically and mentally actually ready. If I'm not physically and mentally actually ready, I notice that I end up draining myself more. And it's like I forget that I do need some kind of preparation to continue in strength. It's like I need to warm up before I just dive into like lifting, you know? And that same thing applies to like you need to warm up, you need to get used to, you need to dip your toes in, you need to know what you're heading into so you don't get lost again. And when you do, you'll find yourself finding your way again. But you have to be okay with it being different every time, because a lot of people will stay in these cycles of fear purely because at least they know the solution of the situation. So therefore, they can't fear the outcome that they already know. When the next outcome could be better than the outcome that they already know, but because they're so scared, they won't shift. And I do feel like it's really important to note here the cost of emotional masking. Because, like, and the emotional cost of masking. And this goes for all, well, I guess technically the third category isn't masking. So for the first two categories, for the masking to escape and masking to like in masking out of fear, masking for basically survival of your mind, it still steals your energy and it steals that authentic connection that you have to your soul, and it takes your rest. And this is why you feel drained when you're constantly, like, you're so tired even though you're doing nothing, because it's draining you to be as scared as you are. And it's also like a constant performance if you never take your mask off. And it's constantly fixing those little things so that way people can digest you better, so you don't have to take your mask off. And it's always checking for a version of it acceptable. It's always looking for acceptance. It's a form of art, and that's why I'm trying to let you guys know, like, it's not a bad thing to mask. It can be beautiful sometimes. The things that can come out of people masking can be absolutely beautiful sometimes. But there are stages to masking, and you have to be able to shift through these stages on a consistent basis, even though it's not going to be a consistent pattern. You can still have consistency without proof of being consistent. Mainly because you don't need anybody else's approval to live in the way that you feel secure and to be with your most authentic self. And if you continue patterns rather than consistency, but consistent patterns of masking, at some point you will reach a level of grief of not being known. It'll hurt you so badly that nobody understands you and no one goes out of the way to understand you. And so I just want you to make sure that you're giving yourself the space to be known. Because there will be people who want to know you, and there will be people who do know you, and you have to recognize those people in your life so that way you don't lose them. And now the third type of person, because like I said, there's three stages to this. So we've covered masking to escape, either themselves because they've got some internal things that they need to work on, or the outer world because they've got a lot of feelings that they're projecting onto the outside, but they're secure with themselves. So that's masking to escape. And then we just covered masking out of fear, which is kind of a very emotionally connected and just kind of halts you from moving forward. And it kind of just keeps you in that same place. And sometimes it's good to be stuck in that same place. And sometimes it's good to project what you need to in situations so you can continue on, but don't get consumed in it. And so this last type of person is the person that's not consumed in it at all. So this person is the unmasked person. So these are the ones who feel the most connected with themselves when they wake up in the morning. Despite all that's going on in their mind and all that's going on in the world, they still wake up in the morning and feel connected with themselves in a way that doesn't make them want to completely deplete from the earth, to say it in the least. And it's not ignorance. It's not like, I'm ignoring everything that's going on in the world. And it's not like a just like turning a blind eye to like all of the things that are like make them hurt, but it's understanding that they're going to have to live with this no matter what, because the consistency here is that they constantly go through ups and downs, and life will never be in a constant happy place, but it can be in a place that you can see the beauty in how you're becoming, and you can see the beauty in your being and in the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, the beauty and the hand that they have to play in your life. It's about understanding the beauty of everything and wanting to be a part of that to help more beauty unfold. It's about internal alignment. It's about self-acceptance and being able to be so honest with yourself on an emotional level that even when you know that you're not going to get out of bed for a week, you will let yourself not get out of bed for a week, you know? And it's just about being comfortable in whatever energy you need to be disputing off of yourself, because maybe you need to be disputing negative energy so you can get your karma. Maybe that's what needs to happen. It's okay. That's life. At one point, because of your karma, you'll be disputing so much positivity that what happened then won't even matter, because that was 5 years ago and now you're here and it's great and everything's beautiful and your garden is flourishing. These are the people that spend the rest of their days after they wake up as their most authentic selves with no doubts and no apologies. And this is not an effortless act. And it's not an inherent act. It's learned. It's through understanding why things went the way they went in your life and why you don't have to be mad at them, or you can be mad at them, but you don't have to let it control you. It's about becoming you, but the you that actually can accept not only yourself, but everything else around you. And once people are able to finally accept not only themselves, but also everything around them for whatever it may be, we can start understanding each other more. And then we can actually start giving people grace and justice that they deserve. Because we're not. We give nobody on this earth, nobody on this planet, and I say the whole motherfucking planet, grace or justice that they deserve. Understand that however you will, but we need to change ourselves so we can change the world. That is the mindset. Lock the fuck in. You need to stop being scared that authenticity is going to trigger people, because it will. People get uncomfortable about it. Unmasked people make people uncomfortable. And it's not because you're too loud, and it's not because you're too honest, and it's not because you're too much or you're unfiltered or you're this or you're that or you're too anything. You could never be too anything if you're being yourself. It's because you're honest. It's because you're full. It's because you're not hiding away with walls and walls of steel and brick and wood. Your walls have flowers, and all you have to do is kind of brush the vines. But you come through with a bulldozer in a garden, and of course the garden's going to get destroyed. No one lives in one of these categories forever. No one stays trying to escape forever. No one stays in fear forever. Some people do. That's the thing that's so scary and heartbreaking about that second mask, is because some people do. And a lot of the times, and for the most part, unless you are just so aligned and connected, which I'm not, and I know you aren't either, is just completely unmasked. Some days you're going to put yourself in situations where you're going to need a mask. And some days you're going to put yourself in situations where you should mask, but you choose not to because you know it won't benefit you. Growth is catching yourself, and it's asking yourself why this came about and understanding how all of these things were orchestrated with the divine and with the energy that has literally transmuted throughout all of these years in your own family line and in everything around you to get you to this point of being able to ask why. And so if you get stuck at asking why, ask yourself, who are you when no one's watching? Ask yourself, who are you trying to impress? And ask yourself what you would change if you felt as safe as you possibly could with yourself. this episode isn't about ripping masks off. I want to make sure that that's very clear. This isn't about taking away what makes you feel secure. I'm just acknowledging that we should be acknowledging that everybody's masking or unmasked. And it's about understanding why they're there, and it's about respecting the process of masking and becoming unmasked and becoming masked again. So I want to reiterate, I don't care about your font. I want to see what's under your mask. I want to know why those masks are there. I want you to show up in your boundaries and remind me that you also have power that needs to be embraced. And so, as we come to the end of this episode, as you know, share it, do what you need to do with it, send it to whatever people you feel like you might think need to hear this right now. And your authenticity begins with giving yourself permission to be authentic and giving yourself to become that person. Some people wear masks to survive, and some people wear them because they're scared. But everyone at one point will wake up one day and already be at home with themselves. And none of those people are wrong. But there is only some moments where people are fully free. I don't think that that should be acceptable. You should have all moments free. That was the point, right? That was the intention, to be free. I hope we enjoyed that, guys. I had fun recording them.